He was Hitler's favorite commando, tall, scarred, and fearless. Otto Skorzeny led some of the most daring missions of the Second World War, including the rescue of Benito Mussolini from a mountain prison. When the war ended, he vanished into a shadowy world of arms deals and espionage. To some, he remained a loyal Nazi, to others he became a gun for hire. This is the story of Otto Skorzeny, the commando who became a spy. Otto Skorzeny was born on June 12, 1908 in Vienna, then part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. His family was middle-class, educated and conservative. His father, a civil engineer, encouraged discipline and technical study, traits that would later define his son's career. Growing up in a collapsing empire and an unstable republic, Skorzeny absorbed the nationalism and bitterness of post-war Austria. At the Vienna University of Technology, he studied mechanical engineering and joined the Burschenschaft Markomannia, a nationalist student fraternity steeped in fencing, duels, and right-wing politics. It was there he earned the long dueling scar across his left cheek, a symbol of courage and masculinity in Central European student culture. By the early 1930s, Austria's political climate had polarized. Skorzeny joined the Austrian Nazi Party in 1931, years before it was banned. He participated in pro-German rallies and paramilitary drills, and when the Austrian government outlawed the Nazis in 1933, he went underground. In March 1938, the Anschluss, Nazi Germany's annexation of Austria, fulfilled his nationalist dream. Skorzeny's loyalty was rewarded. He joined the SS, specifically the Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler, an elite unit that guarded the Führer and fought at the front. He trained in small unit tactics and engineering, skills that would make him invaluable for special operations. His first wartime experience came on the Eastern Front as part of the 2nd SS Panzer Division Das Reich. He participated in the invasion of the Soviet Union in June 1941. There, he was wounded by shrapnel near Moscow and evacuated to Germany. The injury ended his frontline service but opened a new path. After recovering, Skorzeny was assigned to SS headquarters in Berlin, where he worked on developing unconventional warfare tactics. His combination of technical skill, frontline experience, and bold ideas caught the attention of senior officers and eventually Adolf Hitler himself. By 1943, he was placed in charge of a new operations unit within the SS, reporting directly to Hitler. The stage was set for his most famous mission, a rescue that would turn him from an obscure officer into a Nazi celebrity. In the summer of 1943, the Axis alliance was crumbling. Italy, exhausted and divided, overthrew Benito Mussolini in July, replacing him with Marshal Pietro Badoglio, who secretly began negotiations with the Allies. To Hitler, Mussolini's fall was a disaster, the collapse of Germany's most vital ally and a personal humiliation. Furious, he ordered an immediate plan to locate and rescue the deposed Italian dictator. The mission fell to Skorzeny, by now a major in the SS. He was handpicked by Hitler himself from among several candidates. His task was extraordinary: find Mussolini's secret prison and bring him back safely to Germany. Skorzeny later recalled Hitler's exact words that Mussolini must be rescued without fail. For weeks, German intelligence searched for clues. Mussolini was being moved between locations under heavy Italian guard to prevent his rescue. Eventually, through intercepted radio traffic and reconnaissance, Skorzeny identified the site, the Hotel Campo Imperatore, a remote mountain resort on the Gran Sasso in central Italy, accessible only by cable car. On September 12, 1943, Skorzeny led Operation Oak, a bold airborne assault involving a handful of DFS-230 gliders. He accompanied a detachment of German paratroopers from General Kurt Student's Luftwaffe division. The gliders crash-landed on the small plateau near the hotel, surprising the Italian guards. Without firing a shot, they secured the area and reached Mussolini's room within minutes. The former dictator greeted his rescuers with a mix of shock and relief. "I knew my friend Adolf Hitler would not abandon me," he reportedly said. Skorzeny personally escorted Mussolini to a waiting Fieseler Stork light aircraft that performed a hair-raising takeoff from the narrow mountaintop strip, one of the most dramatic escapes of the war. Mussolini was flown first to Vienna, then to Hitler's headquarters in East Prussia, where the two men met again. The rescue was an enormous propaganda triumph. German newsreels and newspapers hailed Skorzeny as a hero. The Völkischer Beobachter called him the most dangerous man in Europe. For Hitler, it was proof that Germany could still perform miracles under pressure. Skorzeny received the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross and was promoted to SS Obersturmbannführer. His success transformed him into the regime's symbol of daring loyalty, a poster figure for Nazi courage and ingenuity. Behind the myth, however, lay a more complex truth. While the mission was brilliantly executed, it was aided by Italian insiders sympathetic to Germany, and its military value was minimal. Mussolini was restored as the puppet leader of the Italian Social Republic, but his regime was doomed from the start. For Skorzeny, though, the rescue secured his place in history. He had become a legend and Hitler's favorite commando. By late 1944, Germany was on the defensive. The Allies had landed in Normandy, Paris was liberated, and the Red Army was advancing from the east. Hitler, unwilling to accept defeat, planned one last major counteroffensive in the west, an assault through the Ardennes forest that he believed could split the Allied front and force peace negotiations. The operation would later be known as the Battle of the Bulge. For this surprise offensive, Hitler turned once again to Skorzeny. His assignment was to create confusion behind enemy lines, a mission codenamed Operation Greif. The plan was audacious. Skorzeny's men would infiltrate Allied lines disguised as American soldiers, using captured uniforms, vehicles, and weapons. Their objectives were to sabotage bridges, misdirect convoys, and spread panic by altering road signs and communications. To form his special unit, Skorzeny recruited English-speaking volunteers from across the Wehrmacht and SS, assembling roughly 2,500 men. Many of them, however, spoke very poor English or none at all, forcing him to rely on a handful of genuine linguists. They were organized into small commando teams equipped with American jeeps, Sherman tanks, and fake identification papers. As the Ardennes offensive began on December 16, 1944, Skorzeny's commandos slipped through the front disguised as GIs. Some succeeded in causing temporary chaos, changing signposts, giving false orders, or cutting communications lines. The rumor that German commandos were disguised as Americans spread quickly through the Allied ranks, leading to paranoia and mass interrogations. At one point, US military police began stopping and questioning soldiers about American trivia, baseball teams, movie stars, state capitals to catch possible infiltrators. General Omar Bradley himself was detained briefly after giving a wrong answer. Skorzeny's deception had achieved its psychological aim, even if its military impact remained limited. But wearing an enemy uniform was a violation of the Hague and Geneva Conventions, punishable by death. When several of his men were captured, they were tried and executed by firing squad. In turn, German propaganda portrayed them as martyrs of elite warfare. The offensive ultimately failed by late January 1945, crushed by superior Allied strength and German fuel shortages. Skorzeny was wounded again but escaped capture until May 1945, when he surrendered to US troops in Salzkammergut, Austria. In August 1947, he stood trial at Dachau, accused of war crimes for ordering his men to fight in American uniforms. Acting as his own defense counsel, Skorzeny argued that his men had only used the uniforms for infiltration, not combat, a tactic he claimed was also used by Allied forces. Several Allied officers, including a British commando, testified that similar methods had been employed by both sides. The tribunal found him not guilty. However, his acquittal didn't bring freedom. He remained in detention under denazification procedures, awaiting further review. Restless and fearing rearrest, he began plotting his next escape, one that would carry him into a new life far from Germany's ruins. In July 1948, Skorzeny made his move. While held at the Darmstadt internment camp, he donned an American military uniform and simply walked out. According to later accounts, sympathetic guards or perhaps ex-SS comrades looked the other way. Within weeks, he vanished from Allied reach. By early 1949, he had resurfaced in Madrid under the protection of Francisco Franco's regime, which welcomed anti-communist fugitives from across Europe. In Spain, Skorzeny reinvented himself. He established engineering and trading companies, becoming wealthy through arms deals and construction contracts. Madrid's fascist circles treated him as a celebrity. Photographs show him hosting parties with German expatriates and Spanish officers. But behind the facade of business respectability, Skorzeny was building a new career as a mercenary, intelligence contact, and broker of ex-Nazis. Throughout the 1950s, he became a key figure in a network that supplied former SS men to nationalist governments. He worked as a military advisor in Egypt, helping train Gamal Abdel Nasser's army and reorganize its intelligence service. Some sources claim he helped establish Egyptian commando units and facilitated arms shipments from Eastern Europe. At the same time, he advised Juan Perón's Argentina, where many ex-Nazis had fled. Skorzeny's ability to navigate both sides of the emerging Cold War made him a valuable asset. By the early 1960s, Skorzeny's story took an unexpected turn. Israeli intelligence, the Mossad, had launched Operation Damocles, a campaign to stop German scientists from helping Egypt build missiles. According to several testimonies and later declassified files, Mossad agents made contact with Skorzeny in Madrid, persuading him to cooperate. In exchange for his name's removal from assassination lists and safe passage, he allegedly supplied information on ex-Nazis aiding Cairo. Some accounts even suggest he personally met Mossad officers and led them to their targets. Whether fact or legend, the claim that he once worked with Israeli intelligence remains one of the strangest twists in post-war history, and it cemented Skorzeny's reputation as a man who could survive in any shadow. Meanwhile, Skorzeny cultivated ties with West Germany's intelligence agency BND and private arms networks across Europe. His memoirs, Commando Skorzeny, published in 1950, portrayed him as a loyal soldier and professional strategist rather than a Nazi ideologue. The book sold well, especially among veterans and Cold War readers fascinated by covert warfare. He divided his time between Madrid and a farm near Alicante, maintaining contact with surviving SS officers and attending reunions of the HIAG, the Waffen-SS Veterans Association. By the 1970s, declining health slowed him down. Diagnosed with lung cancer, he underwent surgery in 1973 but continued to appear in public, still boasting of the Gran Sasso rescue 3 decades earlier. On July 5, 1975, Otto Skorzeny died in Madrid at the age of 67. His body was cremated and interred at Vienna's Doblinger Friedhof, where former SS comrades attended his funeral, giving him a final salute. From the Alps to the deserts, Otto Skorzeny lived many lives: soldier, fugitive, spy, and myth. His story bridges the fall of Nazi Germany and the shadow world of the Cold War, where loyalty and survival blurred into one. Whether remembered as a hero or a mercenary, his legend still lingers in the history of modern espionage. If you found this video insightful, watch Hans Kammler, the SS engineer who vanished after the war, next. A look at how another of Hitler's most secretive officers disappeared into history. Like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell for more history inside. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.